Hello folks, welcome to another episode of the Veterans Corner. My name's Chuck Buden, I'll be your host. I'm joined by my co-host, Megan Dooley, who's sitting there for Donna Dunyan. Megan, great to have you back.
Great to be back.
Yeah. We have a double header for you this time. It's the House of Heroes out of Connecticut, and they're no strangers to this show. Actually, we'll cover this in a little bit, but the very first episode of the Veterans Corner back in 2013, our first guest was the House of Heroes. So it's an honor to have Dennis back, and I'm going to introduce you in a second. That's going to be the first segment. The second segment is going to be the Golden Kielbasa Veterans Open, which some of you that have watched this show have seen before. That's going to be the second segment. So let's start with introductions. Dennis, great to have you back. Dennis is the founder of the tournament, the Golden Kielbasa. He's also the senior consultant and former executive director for House of Heroes.
Well, it's great to be back here, Chuck. You know, House of Heroes loves this show. We got fond memories of being on here several times. As you mentioned, Bill May, our co-founder who founded the organization way back in 2012, was your very first guest.
Yes.
He was.
Yeah. With Dennis, we have Bill Curtin. Bill is the Vice President and Senior Banking Officer for Liberty Bank. And this is your first time on the show. It's an honor to have you here.
It is. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We got a lot to talk about between these two shows. You know, it's looking forward to the updates on the House of Heroes, and of course, the ever famous Kielbasa,
the Kielbasa, right?
And you know, the folks that haven't heard the story about that, they'll get a kick out of how it all started.
Sure.
So let's jump into this. Dennis, tell us a little bit about House of Heroes.
Well, House of Heroes is a nonprofit veteran service organization. We are a Connecticut chapter of a national organization that was actually founded down in Georgia back in 2000. So our chapter was founded in 2012. And again, Bill May was our co-founder, the first guest ever on the Veterans Corner. He and his pal in Hamden, his neighbor actually, Steve Kavanaugh, they founded the chapter. Now, Bill was a 24-year Army aviation veteran, okay, and he was done with his service. He had went on to a civilian career in marketing. He actually worked for Sikorsky for quite a few years, and he was looking for something to give back to the community. He wanted to do something for his fellow veterans, and you know, he did a web search actually for service organizations that help out veterans, and he happened upon this organization called House of Heroes out of Georgia. He was intrigued, did a little research, and lo and behold, that was the direction in which he went. Now, it was a perfect marriage with his co-founder, Steve Kavanaugh, his neighbor. Steve happens to be a general contractor. He's a builder. Yeah. Okay, so Steve, too, as a private citizen, was looking to give back to his community. And you know, maybe it was timing. I'm not sure quite what it was, but it was really just the perfect marriage at the perfect time. And Steve and Bill founded the chapter in 2012. There are 6 chapters around the country. The organization has done more than 1,000 homes, served more than 1,000 veterans. Wow. And here in Connecticut, since 2012, we've served now 180 veterans. So.
And it's your 10th anniversary.
Well, it is, and so it's a kind of a special year. Just a couple years back, it was the 20th anniversary of the national organization, and now it's our chapter's 10th anniversary. And you know, we do about 15 to 20 homes a year, I would say. And you know, it's funny because I say we do about 15 to 20 homes a year. You know, we don't do homes. What we do is we help veterans.
Yes.
You know, so I have to catch myself sometimes, you know, because really what it's all about is not fixing up a home. You're making a home comfortable, safe, and accessible for the veteran who lives there.
Exactly, exactly. Now, I mean, there's so much. I mean, you're talking 2012,
Yeah.
and it was just less than a year later, we had Bill here.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Actually, it was over in that corner in the old studio.
Yeah.
That was my very first show, very first time hosting a show in front of the cameras. That was.
And it's funny because I started volunteering with the organization in 2013, and that's when I first met Bill. Just an inspiring guy. Yeah. And I still remember to this day him telling me about being on the Veterans Corner with Chuck Buden, and what a great opportunity it was. And you know, Bill was so full of enthusiasm at that point. You know, he kind of had this new venture he was doing. He was, you know, starting it from scratch, growing it, helping veterans. It was what he wanted to do, and just full of excitement and enthusiasm for the mission of House of Heroes, which of course is to provide no-cost home improvements for military and public safety veterans.
Yeah. I mean, that was a great way to start this venture with the Veterans Corner.
Yeah.
I mean, we've taped over 170 episodes in all these years.
Wow.
So, and for the viewers that don't know, Bill, your first time here, this show is designed to give exposure to any organization, individual, foundation, any group that provides any service for a veteran. That's what this show is designed for, to give them exposure. And that's, we've given exposure over, I mean, that's over 100 episodes, 170 episodes.
And the wonderful thing is, with the rise of social media, we now are able to put these episodes on YouTube, and that may be where you're watching it right now. So we have gone globally too. Yeah. And imagine all the people whose lives we've touched on a global scale, or those who are maybe stationed overseas, and they realize that, wow, this resource is right here in Connecticut. Where either I go home or a family member lives. So think about all the lives that we have touched through this phenomenal program.
And Bill kicked it off. Now, where have you grown? Where have you been since? I mean, where have you gone? I should say, since then. Where are you now in 2022?
Well, you know, the sad part of this story is, you know, we've been talking about Bill May, the co-founder, and his enthusiasm. You know, Bill unfortunately lost his life in 2016 to cancer. Okay, it was just a terrible blow to all his friends and family and everybody who loved Bill, and of course to the mission of House of Heroes. And but you know, I will say that his wife Carol, who's now the executive director of House of Heroes, Steve continues on as our president, Steve Kavanaugh, Bill's partner and co-founder, and the entire board of directors. I was on the board of directors at the time. You know, we resolved to carry on Bill's legacy. You know, he was just a leader, a passionate guy, believed in service to our nation, a proud veteran, and wanted to assist those. He knew that there were so many veterans out there in need, and he wanted to find a way to help them. And you know, when someone is like that and has that kind of enthusiasm, it's just infectious, is what it is. And you know, we resolved to carry on his legacy. And you know, since 2016 when he passed, that's exactly what we've been doing. And like I say, we're up to 180 homes now. I think that if Bill's looking down on us today and watching this show and hearing the stories and knowing where House of Heroes today, he'd be very proud.
Good.
Particularly of his wife Carol, who really grabbed the bull by the horns and took over the organization. And between she and Steve and our board of directors, you know, we've got a terrific team, and it's been nothing but continued service to
It's
veterans.
very important when you have an organization to have somebody there to be able to take that baton and run with it, because all that prior work is kind of lost if you don't have that. And obviously, you know, Bill's wife did that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Carol is just as enthusiastic about the mission as Bill was, and you know, listen, we love the work we do. You know, one of the stories I always say is, you know, people, when you talk to people about House of Heroes, or maybe when you come home from a project, you know, how'd the project go? And I always say to them, you know, we go home at night and we put our heads in our pillows and we sleep well, knowing that we helped a veteran in need. I tell you, it's a wonderful feeling.
It's the best feeling in the world.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I've been focusing on your sleeve, Liberty Bank, be community kind. Could you tell me what that slogan means? I mean, Liberty Bank has a reputation of the work and the service that it does around Connecticut, but I would also be interested to hear what you do for the bank's veterans in the military working group. And also, how did you get involved in the House of Heroes?
I'll let Bill answer that question.
Yeah. So gladly. So first of all, thanks for having me today.
It's
Chuck
an honor.
and Megan.
It's an honor.
Nice
Welcome,
to meet
Bill.
you as well. And Dennis, nice to see you again after last year's tournament.
Right,
Looking forward to this
exactly.
year's tournament. But yeah, so and thank you for your service to your country as a veteran yourself.
You're welcome.
Okay. So, but Liberty prides itself on being a community bank, and by that I mean we were able to launch a new brand in June of 2021 to reinforce commitment in the communities, and we call it Be Community Kind. And so it's more than just a tagline. It's really all about going the extra yard and working to improve the lives of our customers, our teammates, and our communities. And at first it was kind of, what's that really mean? And it didn't catch on, but I think it's really catching on now. In fact, we've got a lot of good press over it. And people, our employees in the bank, I think really live it, you know, and it shows. And I think our customers who visit our branches every day and bank with us, I think they really appreciate it as well. And so it was a unique tagline, and we're kind of proud of it. In February of this year, we launched a veteran advisory committee, and it's comprised of teammates, employees from across the bank who are passionate about supporting veteran programs and efforts. And so Liberty offers employees paid volunteer days, right?
Yeah.
To go out and serve in the community for various veteran efforts and programs.
That is phenomenal. Paid volunteer days.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that's something that most businesses, if not all, should catch on to, because we were already talking about the feeling that you get from volunteering, giving back. Can you imagine what would happen if more businesses adopt what Liberty Bank is doing?
Yeah, I think that's important. I mean, giving back to your communities and your customers that do business with you is incredibly important. And I don't think, I think it's paid dividends here at Liberty Bank in terms of customer loyalty and overall customer relationship building.
And I can just say from personal experience, working with Liberty Bank, with House of Heroes, Liberty's become a tremendous supporter of our mission. And, the work we do as a nonprofit can't be done without the support of community-minded companies like a Liberty Bank. And, they jumped on board earlier this year. We had a big Memorial Day weekend where we did, I believe, 5 projects across the state. It was our biggest day ever for House of Heroes, one day.
Yeah.
And
The North Haven project?
And in North Haven, we had a veteran that we were serving, and a team of Liberty Bank volunteers came down there and helped us. They cleaned the yard. They did all sorts of things to complete that project that day. And I know for a fact that the Liberty employees not only were so important to the work we needed to do that day, but they went home that night just totally pumped about working for House of Heroes and about our mission and wanting to be involved more. So from that point forward, the relationship has grown, and we couldn't be more thrilled to have Liberty Bank as a partner.
Yeah, and a few of those volunteers were totally exhausted when
They should have been. They worked awful hard.
And you know what? It shows to this day. I'm sure that house in North Haven that they volunteered at, the person who lives there now probably has memories of seeing the people around and thinking to themselves, this didn't just come from me. This just didn't come from a community. This came from a family.
Yeah.
And I honestly, for volunteering, it not only gives you a feeling of that you've accomplished something, but it kind of feeds your desire to reach back out into the community and to continue doing good. Now let's shift away from the volunteering, because Bill, we heard when we were talking a little bit before the show went on air, is that this is personal to you. Tell me about your son Dylan.
Yeah, so my son Dylan's 3 years into a 4-year enlistment with the United States Air Force. We're pretty proud of him. And I'm not a personal veteran, but I come from a long line of veterans in my family. It wasn't in the cards for me because I lost a knee on the football field my senior year in high school.
That will do it.
Just for those who are curious.
It's those are the breaks, you know. But yeah, he's currently active duty. He's stationed at Joint Base McGuire in New Jersey. He serves as a security services officer, and that involves base security, training newer recruits on weapon systems, right, and tactical defense. So he's been awarded several coins of accomplishment and served 6 months in the Honor Guard while he was there. He's a tall kid. He's 6'2". So if you're not 6'1", I believe, or
6'1",
or taller, you can't.
I got scarfed up in boot camp. I was there an extra month or so.
Yeah.
Because I was on the honor guard, performing for graduations and the drill teams.
Yeah. And that gave him a special appreciation, you know, for military veterans going to all those services, right?
Sure.
Funeral services, and realizing what not only the veterans go through, but their families.
I'm sure his ears are burning right now. He's going, Dad.
Yeah.
But how does, and you were telling us about how Dylan is inspired by what he has learned from the job, but on the phone with him maybe every single day, in the messages and the letters that you get, how does what he has told you inspired your programs and how you service your community as part of Liberty Bank?
Yeah, I think he's just given us a ground level view in terms of his communication on what his daily duties are and what his day's like, you know, and what veterans need when they get out of the military. They need housing, you know, they need a transition into a civilian life. They need clothing, right? Suits and ties, and depending on what kind of career path they're going to go in. So the organizations and shelter housing, right? So the veteran programs that are out there that can help with that. We personally, as the bank, also run a Save a Suit program where we collect suits all through our bank's footprint, which is the majority of Connecticut. And we bring those suits in and we filter out the good stuff and make sure that, you know, we're giving veterans nice attire to wear. And so that's another program we run. We also run what's called a Vets Rock event. That's at Mohegan Sun, typically the November timeframe.
Great venue.
I've heard of that. I've heard of that.
It's a great event.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so and that's also combined with a job fair. So we want to get veterans the opportunity. So my son recognizes that. I tell him what we're doing as a bank, and he says those are all perfect things. That's what I hear from my colleagues and fellow veterans that discharge from the military and enter the civilian life. So in a year's time, we'll be suiting him up and getting him ready.
There you go. There you go. Bill, I want to wish you and your son Dylan the very best. Thank him very much from us. We appreciate his service, the viewers, the people here at the Veterans Corner. We always thank our veterans when they're on the show.
Yeah.
Very seldom do we get a chance to thank those that are not here, through our guests.
Yeah.
So this is probably one of the first, and thank him very much for his service.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It means a lot to the viewers, and obviously us here at the Veterans Corner.
Yeah.
Dennis, I want to thank you. Everything you do. We tell our guests when they say they're not veterans. We tell them, listen, You may not have been a veteran, but you're serving now. What you do now is just as important. You're helping the veteran community, and that's extremely important. And we want to thank, as a veteran, I want to personally thank you for everything you do for veterans.
Oh, thank you so much.
That's something to be extremely proud of. But is there anything else that you want to share with the viewers?
Well, you know, I do just want to say that House of Heroes is really in the midst of probably its biggest year ever here in 2022. We've brought on new partnerships, like with companies like Liberty Bank, where Tops Marketplace in Southington is a new part of the Knights of Columbus. We have a beautiful new partnership with the Connecticut Carpenters Union, Local 326, which, you know, we pick up the phone and the Carpenters Union is there to help us at any House of Heroes project. And we have projects coming up in October, and we're going to be up in the low 20s this year in terms of the number of veterans we served, and that's going to be our biggest year ever. Yeah. So we can't do it without the support of companies like Liberty Bank. I just want to thank you, Bill, and Liberty Bank, and all your folks for supporting House of Heroes and kind of getting our mission, what we're all about. And I do want to say that you know, our website is www.hohct.org. All the information about what we do, how to volunteer and support our organization is there. So I just want to thank you for this opportunity, Chuck. You know, I've been on the show before. It's always a great pleasure to come back and be with you.
You know, it's and you'll definitely be back, both of you. I mean, give us updates. We're always looking for updates. We want to make sure that the viewers know that, you know, we don't just have somebody on, or even our guests know that we don't just have you on and we forget about you. We want to make sure you come back and give updates, because it's extremely valuable to our veteran community. So. You know, it's, you know, we've had coffee together. We've talked a lot about these shows and what you do. It's always a pleasure. You know,
it is.
This show has actually formed a friendship, and it's what keeps this show going. It inspires us to continue.
And I just want to remind our viewers that, you know, it's all well and good that we're talking about the wonderful work that House of Heroes does, and believe me, the work is wonderful, but, you know, there are so many veterans out there in need. There is no possible way that a small organization like ours can possibly give the help needed to all the veterans who need that help. So I encourage folks to support any organization, including House of Heroes, that would that's out there, because the need is tremendous.
Yes. And I mean, 170 episodes. I mean, a lot of them are repeats, but there's so many groups out there.
Yeah.
I should say updates. There's so many groups out there that do things for veterans.
It's really meaningful that you get to see how not only this program evolves, but how the programs that we highlight evolve with it and provide those updates. So I know we're looking at 2022 right now, but 2023 is knocking at the door as we speak.
It's here.
Not to date ourselves, but I heard that it's less than 100 days until Christmas. Yeah. So
that's just crazy, isn't it?
Ball drops. There's no rest for the weary, so we'll definitely want to have you back, because you say 2022 is your biggest year. I have a feeling 2023 might be even bigger, especially with
you know what, we think so too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, 25 minutes goes by fast.
It does, doesn't it?
This is the first segment.
Yep.
Excuse me, allergies. The second segment, look forward to that. We're going to be talking about the big golf tournament.
Sure.
The Golden Cabasa.
Sorry, I keep drooling when you mention Cabasa. We'll get to that in the next segment. It's Pavlov's bell.
Making you hungry, huh?
Well, I tell you what,
very
that's a big event. It really is. It's a great. Well, we'll talk about it more.
Sure, we will.
In the next segment, because that's pretty much all the time we have. So, with that being said, thank you.
Thank you.
Not saying goodbye, because we're gonna start another segment for our viewers. So, with that being said, thank you for watching the Veterans Corner. See you next time. Good night.
Good night.
Doing this? Okay, so
Yeah, I
turn it
saw
on.
you, and that's the
Yeah.
clock.
The water's warm at Jaws Pond, and we're stocked full of treasures. Big or small, we buy it all. We buy and sell fast rides, power tools, vintage guitars, and so much more. Walk the plank in style with our fine jewelry, diamonds, and watches. Plus, we have a huge selection of the latest video games, including the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Jaws Pond, conveniently located on Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in Southington and West Main Street in New Britain.